Mr. Dabney, would you give me your full name and DOC number, please?
Brian Dabney, 33995.
Mr. Dabney, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. We will then ask the warden for some input. We have some participants here. We'll certainly ask Dr. Prejean to give us an appraisal, as well as some of the other members there at the staff. There is one person present in opposition. She does not wish to speak, but she is present and observant. At the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement on your own behalf, and then we'll vote. Do you understand our process, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is Mr. Brian Dabney, DOC number 303995, date of birth January the 12th of 1971. Mr. Dabney is a third-class felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of January the 6th of 2023. An adjusted good time date of August the 29th of 2044, full term date of May 11 of 2046. He is serving a 43-year, 4-month, and 23-day sentence on the charges of attempted first-degree rape, aggravated incest, 3 counts of armed robbery. Does that sound fairly accurate, Mr. Dabney?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dabney, how old are you, sir?
52.
And how long have you been in prison on these charges?
30 years.
Mr. Dabney, tell me a little bit about what happened in this case.
Well, my oldest daughter, I was touching her and kissing her in an inappropriate way.
You've taken a number of programs while you've been in there. What sort of things have you learned in terms of how this has affected the victim in this case?
Well, by having her own father to touch her in a way like that, I guess it traumatized.
You seem to be pretty alert and pretty understanding of everything going on. You understand what we're doing here today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you have some significant medical issues. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Could you explain in your own words how you get around? Are you able to move around at all? Can you walk?
No, sir. I had to be pushed.
What sort of things do you do all day while you're in prison?
Mostly stay in the bed, sir.
You can't get out on your own at all. You have to be pushed around. You have to be helped out.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Prejean, we've watched the videos. We have the videos, and we've observed the videos. If you could please give us your assessment of Mr. Dabney. This is obviously for a medical parole. So would you please give us your assessment of Mr. Dabney?
Mr. Dabney is correct. He's essentially a quadriplegic. He has some movement in his upper extremities, but it's extremely weak. He has no movement in his lower extremities. He is bedbound. He has a cervical myelopathy. He had an anterior fusion done many years back. It did not go well and resulted in him being essentially a quadriplegic. He's very apathetic. He doesn't get out of bed. We on occasion force him out of bed, but it takes a Hoyer lift, if you saw the video, to get him out of bed and put him in a wheelchair. Very rarely have I seen him allow them to do that. He also has a suprapubic catheter. He's got hypertension. He's got prediabetes. And because he's got that suprapubic catheter, he's prone to getting recurrent bladder infections, some of them with multi-resistant organisms that requires IV therapy. When I got here 16 months ago, he had a stage 4 decubitus from laying in the bed so much. Over the past year now, we've just about got it completely healed with taking decubitus precautions, turning him, having him on an alternating pressure mattress and daily wound care.
Do you consider, in his medical condition, do you consider him to be a threat to society or to anyone on the outside at all?
No.
And he will require assistance for the rest of his life. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Now, I noticed in the video, there was a lift to pick him up from the bed, to put him in his chair. Is that basically required to move him around?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Except we do have a couple of real muscular guys that will sometimes, one of them in particular, I'm thinking of, he'll just come and pick him up and put him in the wheelchair. But even though I keep telling him not to do that, he's gonna end up hurting himself one time, but he's like a big bodybuilder guy. He's the only one that can do it by himself, but the rest of it takes 2 or 3 people to actually get him out the bed and mobilize.
and it's your opinion that and your recommendation that we grant him a medical parole?
Yes.
And the secretary has also signed off on that as well. It's my understanding that it's been recommended that he go to the villa. Is that the recommendation of the department?
Mr. Chairman, this is Warden Buttress. Villa is probably his best case scenario due to the nature of his conviction. There will be, limited resources on where he could stay in terms of total nursing home care because of the sex offense. So Villa would be our first option. And then from there, we would continue, searching for nursing homes that would be able to take someone like Mr. Dabney in the nature of his conviction.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Mr. Dabney, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before we vote?
No, sir.
I'll vote first. After reviewing the offender's crime and his criminal history, the length of time he served in prison, and his institutional conduct, which has been fair, the offender represents a low risk to himself or society. Based upon his medical condition, he's a quadriplegic, confined to bed, chair, needing full assistance for everything other than feeding himself. Medical assessment of the offender's condition, the diagnosis and the recommendation of Dr. Prejean, the medical director. It is my vote that we grant him a medical parole to a facility acceptable to the Department of Corrections. And I don't know if it's necessary, but if at all possible, this person would be improved to such a point that he no longer needed the medical parole, but he'd be returned to custody. So that would be my vote. Mr. Roche?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My vote is the same with the same conditions.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur.
Okay. Mr. Dabney, you've been granted medical parole today to a facility that is recommended and approved by the Department of Corrections. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.